The truth about dependent relationships. Are you fully in love or emotionally dependent on your partner? Welcome to Mental Zen, a podcast about mental health. Mental Zen is a project aimed at providing psychological knowledge to website users, raising awareness about mental health, and striving for a fulfilled life. The first issue of the Mental Zen podcast focuses on the truth about dependent relationships. Are you fully in love or emotionally dependent on your partner? Even in the most intimate relationships, independence is still essential. I am reminded of the domino effect. Initially, the dominoes are set up upright and close to each other. When the first one is knocked over, the rest falls in successions. Similar is the case with relationships. When both individuals stand upright, independent, no negative outcomes occur. However, if one leans on the other, becomes dependent, the relationship will eventually fall apart. Eventually, the beginning of the story is not that bad. Before entering a relationship, we were all independent like dominoes set up straight. We had our own lives, passions, friends, and careers. Social media confronts us with the phrases like, live well and destiny will arrange, or stay still and love will come to you. And when that gift finally arrives, we act somewhat bewildered. We were immersed in the feelings of ecstasy and happiness as our brains release dopamine. It's difficult to resist the desire to see our beloved 24/7, wanting them to live our life and to dive into their world, ready to sacrifice ourselves for their happiness. I don't want to hurt you, but eventually I have to say, these signs are actually red flags of a dependent relationship. Being dependent on your partner is a very hard issue to recognize. As I mentioned earlier, the manifestations of emotional dependence on another person, which is a negative issue, appear very romantic in love. This makes the dependent person unaware of their dependency. They simply think that they are in love, nurturing the relationship while waiting for the day to harvest the fruits. This thought process is very dangerous. When we realize we are making a mistake, we will find ways to correct it. Conversely, if we fail at the level of recognition, the mistake will remain there forever. Actions and outcomes are created by casual relationships. There will not be a uniform consequences pattern for those who are dependent without realizing it, because the actions of each person in the relationships are different. However, in general, we will see some common consequences such as losing personal identity, doubting self-worth, becoming a burden to the other person, and ultimately pushing the relationship to the brink of collapse. There are thousands of reasons for us to be dependent on our lovers, but being dependent without realizing it still remains an open question for many. Based on my personal observation and many times advising through Mental Zen, I have found that confusing concept is one of the reasons we bind ourselves to the other person. If you spend a lot of time on TikTok, you will observe the lesson in love. If you love more and let the other person know it, you lose. I strongly oppose this viewpoint. For many, love is about giving and loving selflessly. They want to support their partner and walk with them through all aspects of life. This is a positive mindset, but it leads to a confusion between loving wholeheartedly and loving to the point of forgetting oneself, being ready to sacrifice everything to meet the needs of the loved one. I believe that we can only give when we have enough. You cannot give to the charity when you yourself are struggling between meals. The same applies to love. If you must ensure your own needs are met before trying to fulfill the needs of your loved one, that is loving wholeheartedly. Conversely, loving to the point of forgetting oneself is a very toxic type of love. You think that you have the obligation to satisfy their needs. As a result, you push aside your own urgent desires to give the best to your loved one. For example, if you are about to have your first meal after 8 hours of work and hunger, and your partner says they crave bubble tea, you forgot eating to buy them this treat. This is emotional dependency. You're happy only when they are happy. Dependency can develop into a pathological condition when you have gone through childhood psychological traumas. You might have grown up with a self-loving, alcoholic, gambling addicted parent, extremely demanding parents, or as a middle child in a large family, or without parents at all. In such circumstances, dependency behavior evolves as a survival mechanism to draw attention. For example, if you have another mother who failed to get into a medical school and had devoted her whole life to raising you in the hope that one day you will fulfill that dream for her, she is indifferent to you in regards to your other passions in life and only praises you when you achieve high marks in math, physics, chemistry, and biology. Desiring your mother's love, you have no choice but to abandon your dream of pursuing arts to chase a medical career. You do things you dislike to make others happy. This is how you survive in a relationship. Just as blood flows in your veins, dependency happens naturally and unconsciously, making it difficult for you to clearly distinguish whether you're being dependent or not. Although the line between dependence and independence is faint, the consequences are clear as daylight. This serves as a prolonged train horn, waking those who are trying themselves to another in a relationship. If you want a long-term partnership, you must be independent. Books often present lengthy problems and offer generic advice. But I don't want you to waste your time, so here are the 3 main points. Take good care of yourself. You are the person who understands yourself best. Be confident in that. By understanding yourself, you know your problems and desire. Thus, you can act to solve these problems to satisfy those needs. Min Yim once said in his book, Healthy Love, essentially, we should not place our happiness on others. Our soul must be a beautiful garden already. So when other comes, they can only make the garden more beautiful. When you are beautiful inside out, happy with yourself, you won't depend on anyone else for attention or love. Loving yourself is always the core of a happy and long-lasting relationship. Set clear boundaries. The key word you need to remember is individuality. The mistake of dependent people is merging their life with their partner's life. Your hobbies became their hobbies, your friends became their friends, and many other things that shared excessively. You should draw the clear boundaries to yourself. Go out with your friends. Eat what you like. Start your new hobbies. And then share those experiences with your loved ones as a form of sharing. This way, you protect your colorful personal life from temptation of dissolving into your partner. To your partner, you always remain a mystery and something new to discover. This is the type that spice that love never gets tired of. Learn to effectively help others. You're probably familiar with the legendary book that has saved millions of marriages around the world. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, by Dr. John Gray, right? The book discusses the differences between man and woman, just like how men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Specifically, the chapter supporting the opposite sex made many women realize that they have been helping men in the wrong way. Humans are unique entities, but if we divide the world into men and women, we can still find the characteristic traits of both sexes. You need to learn how to help others according to what they want, so that goodwill doesn't accidentally turn into ill will. We have discussed at length to subjective reason that we make us dependent without realizing it. Thinking in reserve raises the questions. Is the problem solely originating from us? The answer is no. In many cases, the other person has a psychological wound such as being abandoned, betrayed, etc. in the past relationship, so they expect stability and long-term commitment from us. However, they are also helpless with their psychological issue. This leads to a desperate action. They manipulate us to make us independent to them, to obey them, and to never leave them in any circumstances. I raise a negative issue, but my purpose is not to ruin your day. I'm here to help you if you happen to be in a toxic relationship as described above, or to provide you with quality material to be ready to build a love castle in the future. If the other person used manipulation techniques to make you feel dependent on them, following 3 bullet points will help you. Continue to maintain the fence of independence you have to build to protect yourself. Self-care, setting boundaries as I have mentioned before. Talk to your partner to establish rules and discuss to come up with suitable solution for each individual's issues. Ultimately, for the relationship, we all aim for a happy relationship. This will be the compass for any solution. In the worst case scenario, when they continue to veto and manipulate you through various tactics, you should firmly protect your mental and physical health by choosing to go your separate way. Please use this method only in the worst case scenario. In summary, in any relationship, we need independence. Independence helps us to stand firm on our 2 feet, to be clear-headed, and to make rational decisions in love and life. Ultimately, independence is the easiest way to keep the love alive. You are always fresh, mysterious, and strong. Your lover will have to strive to discover, to understand, and to keep up with you. Imagine how rewarding it is to conquer such challenging love. In conclusion, see you in the next issue, and I wish you all the best.